All over the world, criminals need the financial system through which to launder the ill-gotten gains of their crimes. The sums are so vast that those of us who work in financial services live and work alongside criminal funds every day of our lives. We don't realize it because it's so well hidden. But look closer, and the telltale signs of money laundering and even terrorist financing could be right under our noses. Mario's is an Italian restaurant, but looked at closely, its account reveals several red flags of money laundering. Mario's is a front company.
Front companies are genuine businesses which have a legitimate business reason for taking in large amounts of cash. What they then do, however, is top up their business takings with significant amounts of criminally derived cash. Effectively, it's placement activity, and the funds can then be wired on to an accomplice as part of a wider money laundering scheme.
A look at the receipts for the account shows the average daily takings to be between $8,000 to $10,000, all in cash, in this instance commencing with the account entries in early July.
What you're looking out for is any activity on the account which is either unusual in itself, or which doesn't fit with the way that the business normally operates, or which is in some way inconsistent with the way other businesses of that type operate.
But whilst its takings remain more or less constant during the week, this restaurant appears to be having some very successful weekends, because on Monday the 19th of July, the takings deposited at the bank are over $27,000. On Monday the 26th, the takings are more than $37,000, and again on Monday the 2nd of August, in excess of $36,000. So maybe this is a weekend restaurant. A simple enough explanation. But if the restaurant really is doing that much business, then you would expect this to be reflected in its expenses. But in the case of Mario's, that isn't so. For the amounts withdrawn in cash to pay staff remain constant at $6,463. Likewise, the amounts they're paying for their wine and beverage and their food ingredient wholesalers aren't increasing in line with the increased revenues.
However, what tends to happen on front company accounts over time is that the account balance builds up with all the criminal funds that the account is taking in, and then that has to be got rid of, either under the guise of payments to accomplice suppliers or being wired to another account, perhaps one overseas.
The effect of this activity has been a steady build-up in the credit balance on the account, a credit balance which is dealt with by means of two large and unusual wire transfers, one on the 2nd of August for more than $80,000, and again on the 6th of August for more than $122,000. The recipient? Someone or something called Rubicon, an entity with no previous connection with the account.
Increases in cash receipts over time, particularly where local knowledge indicates this simply isn't consistent with how the business is doing. You know, one hears of stories of restaurants, grocery stores, hairdressing salons, petrol stations, which are nearly always empty. Yet they are supposedly taking in tens of thousands of pounds a week. Increases in revenue which aren't matched by increases in costs build up in credit balances, particularly where this isn't normal for high street businesses of this type, followed by large unusual transfers out of the account, particularly to persons or entities with no previous connection to the account. These will all be warning signs that you may be looking at a front company.
If you work in a bank, you probably associate money laundering with liability products such as deposit accounts. But it's important to remember that loan accounts too can be used for laundering money.
Now, asset products can be and are used by money launderers, whether at the placement stage of the money laundering process, for example by taking out a loan or a series of loans and then repaying them in cash, or during the layering stage of the process, for example by taking a loan from a bank, which obviously looks like clean money, and then having it repaid by a third party,